We'll, here we go. Let's try. Let's see. Regular meeting, Commissioners Court, Liberty County, Texas, June the 9th. It's about 10 minutes after 9. Get everybody logged in for sure on Zoom. And then we have quite a few folks that are present as well. Let's, if we would, let's all rise. Lee's going to lead us in the pledges, and Sheriff's going to lead us in invocation.
Please face the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now face the Texas flag. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Pray with me, please. Heavenly Father, Lord, we're thankful for the opportunity we have to come together this morning as a government here, Lord, and discuss the ongoings here in Liberty County. Lord, I just ask a special blessing on all the commissioners, the judge. Lord, I just ask that you give them wisdom to do the things that are necessary and to stand up for the things they believe in, Lord, and that all we do your will. Lord, at this time, we're going through a lot of troubling times. There's a lot of people that are depressed over the COVID-19. I ask, Lord, just a blessing on all those people that are affected, and a special blessing on those who have lost loved ones, Lord. And Lord, I just ask that it be your will that you find, let the people working on this find a cure or a vaccine just as soon as possible, Lord. And also, Lord, for all the troubles that we're going through with the police and the demonstrators and everything, Lord, I ask a special blessing, Lord, for the first responders and the officers that are facing it every day, Lord. I just ask for peace and understanding, Lord. And when a wrong is committed, Lord, I just ask that let Justice Department, let them handle it the way it should be, Lord, and not have to have broken windows and people killed. Lord, I just ask that you be with us, watch over us, keep us safe. In your son, Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Sheriff. All righty. See, Commissioner Wilson and Commissioner Reeves are present today by way of Zoom. So we do have a full quorum established. See, Mr. Gilley is with us all the way from Austin, Texas by way of Zoom. Good morning, Mr. Gilley.
Good morning.
Okay, and Ms. Harris is with us also from the Treasurer's Office, as well as our Fire Marshal, Mr. Muller, and Captain Billy Knox from the Sheriff's Department is with us as well. Thank y'all. And of course, our auditor is splendidly online, although he's not in the Oval Office today. So it's okay. Regular meeting agenda. Number 4 is consent agenda. I hope y'all had the opportunity to look over this. And if so, entertain a motion. When are there any add-ons?
No, none today.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Bruce. Second from Greg to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. There being none, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 5, consider and approve a resolution authorizing publication of notice of intention to issue combination tax and revenue certificates of obligation. And this is for a project that we've been wishing for and planning for about 5 years now. And finally, we're to the point to where we can move forward. We tried to get this done earlier, but COVID-19 bug bit us by the leg and dragged us kicking and screaming until we finally got back to the point to where we could do something. But we have to put a publication in, the paper that we're going to have intention to issue combination tax revenue certificates of obligation. Matthew, do I need to add anything to that?
No.
Nope. Okay. What's the court's pleasure at this point?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion, Bruce, second from Greg to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Leon's you. Aye. Gotcha. Okay. That's unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. Motion does carry. Number 6, consider and approve a resolution expressing intent to finance expenditure to be incurred by Liberty County, Texas. And again, this is, we are going to pass a resolution, sign a resolution today if it is approved for the purpose of building a new sheriff's department, a JP3 office, a DPS office inclusive, a Constable 3 office inclusive, Texas Parks and Wildlife office inclusive, and don't leave anybody out. Texas Ranger, yeah, I got a Ranger mixed in there too. And normally the Ranger has an office here at the courthouse, but since sometimes investigations occur where he needs to be closer to law enforcement center, that we talked with him and he said he'd love to be closer to law enforcement. So the sheriff's office will be one large building and the other offices will be a smaller annex that's adjacent to the sheriff's office on the same property. And that's what we're doing.
We approve. Second.
Okay, got a motion from Greg. And a second from Bruce to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hey, you hear me?
Yes. Was that an aye?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All opposed, likewise sign. There being none, that motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 7, consider and approve earnest money contract with Jesse Lopez for the purchase of certain real property on Highway 146 north of Liberty for the construction of new Liberty County Sheriff's Office, Liberty County JP3, Texas DPS, Texas Parks and Wildlife, and Texas Ranger Annex Building. Again, this is trying to tidy up the purchase of real property, and this would enter us into the contract to purchase this. We'll get this project underway if we can get this done.
Make a motion to approve.
Judge, and this is gonna be, for $50,000 earnest money?
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Yes, sir.
Second.
Okay, got a motion from Bruce. Second from Greg to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Leon?
Nay.
Nay? Okay. We got 3 ayes, 1 nay. With Leon tossing in the nay vote. Okay. That motion does carry. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 8, consider and approve bids on delinquent tax properties. Bid number 1, Teresa Owens, $7,015. Bid number 2, Robin Lane, $4,813.64. Bid number 3, James Carter, $1,500, and Brandy Gonzalez, $1,300. Is that going to be bid number 4? Or is that bid number 3 extension? That's 2 together. Okay. All right, Brother Rick.
Yes, Judge, Mike Fielder asked me to entertain any questions on these offers. These are all submitted by their firm. As you can go through each one of them, the details there, basically it's 99% recovery, 100% recovery. The one in Big Picket Lakes was not any, that was the only one that was kind of missed the mark on it, but kind of knowing the situation, kind of offers come pretty light in that area just because of the conditions out there. but the other three basically stand up on their own with 99 to 100% recovery. I recommend that all four of these be approved.
I move that we approve all four. Second.
Got a motion from Greg, second from Bruce to approve all four items. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
Number 9, consider an approved contract for mail-in ballot management software system license, maintenance and support agreement with VR Systems in Liberty County elections. Clint, you have anything to elaborate on this one with us?
Judge, members, basically it is the management software for all the mail-in ballots that we could possibly have. Our current software expired about 2 years ago. It's not supported anymore. CARES Act money will pay for this. It'll be a continuing yearly fee, but this will be the software to manage all of the mail-in
Where
ballots.
will these funds come from?
The CARES Act grants.
Okay.
Make a
Dwayne,
motion to approve.
Dwayne, you good with the CARES Act grant pay for this?
Yes, I don't believe, have we received any money from it yet, Clint?
No, sir, we have not received it yet. This is anticipation. We're not doing anything until we get that money, but this is just the paperwork on front.
That's fine.
Okay. All right, Bruce made the motion to approve.
Okay.
Greg made the second. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion was unanimously passed. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 10, consider and approve Vista SG software subscription for election administrator's office to manage digital files, document storage for voter registrations list, and enhance voter registration list security. And once again, this will be CARES Act grant funded. Clint, you have anything you want to tell us about it, or?
Yes, sir, Your Honor. This is one of the things that we did not get cited for the security assessment we did a year ago, but they did have concerns about our management of the voter registration rolls. Everything that we do is paper right now, and we have a ton of files that we have to keep for at least 2 years. Just our voter rolls, 48,000 documents, and we get open records requests on, here's one in particular, they want to see the applications for a certain number of people. Well, then I have to send staff into the attic for 2 weeks to try to find these documents. This is a pretty big buy. This software will handle all the data storage. It will also be for continuity of government. If something happens to our office, all the files are still intact. We'll also send an offsite when it gets this big project handled. This will be funded with the CARES Act and Security Act grant.
What kind of cost comes with that?
It's $9,700 is the cost. This is a one-time because there's a lot of training that goes with that. We also have a small server.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Motion from Bruce, second from Greg to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. And that passes unanimously. Okay. Number 11, consider and approve 13 Logics ballot tracks contract for $500 paid for by the CARES Act grant for ballot by mail postal tracking system. Oh, you got radar on everything, don't you, Clint?
Well, Your Honor, we are really trying to beef up our operations like other counties. This part we're trying to lead other counties. In particular, we had one ballot that we received 2 months after Election Day. It was postmarked before Election Day. What happened to this one particular ballot? We get complaints all the time. Where's my ballot? Why have we not received it in the mail? I've actually had the Liberty Postmaster himself in my office probably 3 times in the past 3 weeks, trying to work through ballot issues and where does our mail go. This will put an IMB barcode on the to and the from envelope. It will track it in the postal system. We can see where the ballots are. The voter can see where their ballots are. And when they mail it back to us, we can see where it's at. And if it goes to say Louisiana, we can say, what's it doing over there? Then the post office can actually help us get those ballots returned to us. They do take mail ballots pretty seriously, but they tend to be very, very slow. This is the only thing I know to do to help alleviate that issue.
And what is the court's pleasure?
Move to approve.
A motion from Greg,
Second.
second from Bruce. All in favor, say aye. Likewise, nays. We had unanimous vote for, so that motion does carry. Agenda item is passed. Number 12, consider and approve waiver of penalty and interest on account number 31575 in the amount of $304.88 for taxpayer Anthony Landry. Brother Rick?
Yes, Judge, this is for account number 31575. We've been working with this taxpayer for several months, trying to get this property straight, finding the sister and all these things. There was some clerical or notice information that kind of wasn't properly done through CAD. So gave grounds for me to recommend pay waiver of penalty and interest to the Commissioner's Court and all the entities. Basically, it's something that it's kind of been going on. He's trying to get it done. He's already paid the 2015 through 19, and he also paid from 1999 to 2014. So he's caught it up. He's paid the base tax, and in an effort to clean it up, we have to get the penalty and interest fees waived, which you have the right to do that when there is a notification or clerical error by either us or CAD. So the fact that he's stepped forward and already paid the base tax, if you do not approve it, then basically he either has to pay the penalty and interest or it just stays delinquent. So to me, he's got grounds for asking for this. He's done his part by paying the base tax, and he's also trying to get the property. I think he's ended up trying to build on it, improve it and do everything else. So I do recommend that you do waive the penalty and interest for these years. Your amount is the $300 something. The other entities will also be requested to waive theirs.
Was this gentleman, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he pick up this property or the property he's working on through sales here in this court about 3 or 4 weeks ago? Or is this different?
I think this is something, he had an undivided 50% interest, he and his sister. I think they've had this, for some time. I don't have an answer to that. He might have bought another interest in it at that time, but his interest has been, he and his sister have been on this for some time.
Make a motion to approve.
All right, have a motion to approve for Bruce. Need a second?
No, second.
Got a second from Greg. All in favor, say aye.
Yeah.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. By the way, that was unanimous vote to carry. Okay. Number 13, consider and approve the overpay refunds for the following. $2,809.24. That was number 230916 SRC Management Incorporated. $2984.95. That's number 56609 Marino Lopez and Jesus Lopez, and then $4,589.99. Number 95900 Core Logic. Brother Rick?
Yes, Judge. It's hard enough to get the money. We hate to give it back, but unfortunately we have to give it back when they pay it twice. So
Right.
anytime we have a refund that's more than $2,500, we're required to come to court and get your approval. The first case, it was the Mariano Lopez, $2,984.95, which was account number 56609. The mortgage company paid it, then Tarver paid it, causing an overpayment. So we basically are going to refund to the one who caused the overpayment. So I think that was through a sale or closing, whatever. That's on the first one. The second one was the 280924. The we got a large check, it's like $70,000, and basically it's SRC, so some third party agency that pays a lot of, taxes and stuff. And basically they overpaid 2809. And this was on a 230916. That's for Anthony Taylor. So that 2809 would be refunded since it's over the 2,500. And the third one was CoreLogic, which is a large third party that collects a lot for the banks and the mortgage companies, and they do massive checks. And basically this was one that CoreLogic overpaid because somebody paid before, and it amounted to $4,589.99 on account number 95900. So that would be refunded as well.
Okay. What's the court's pleasure on this?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Bruce, second from Greg to approve. All in favor, say aye. All right. Thank y'all. That was unanimous to approve. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 14, consider and approve preliminary plat for the Santa Fe subdivision section 7. Linda, I know David's geared up to get some back surgery done, so you're elected.
I know, I'm elected.
Yeah.
LJA Engineering has completed its review of the road closure cut, and it does meet the minimum requirements for Logan County rules. It's requesting.
So we have received a letter from LJA that does specify that they accept
Yes.
all conditions of the plat. Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Bruce, second from Greg to approve. All in favor, say aye. All right. And that vote was unanimously approved. I'm watching the hands on Zoom today. Okay. Number 15, consider and approve preparation for the possible adoption of criteria for tax abatement. And what this is, every 3 years or so, we have to redo our tax abatement considerations. Okay. We're a little bit, probably about 3.5 years off into this one because, well, like everybody else, we got tackled by the big toe and we got slow with the COVID business. So we had to go back and renew any of our abatement considerations, whether it be percentage wise or whatever. It's basically a guideline for anyone that wants to come into the county and request an abatement through Liberty County and through the Commissioner's Court for any projects. And this has been prepared, pretty much a readoption with a few changes of the previous criteria that we had for tax abatements. And I know that in some settings, you will get breakpoints, for the property, actually a potential development total cost. For instance, if it's $250 million project, then you might cut it off at, say, a 5-year abatement consideration. We left this open-ended for a reason. You're going to get tire kickers. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but they're going to come in and want to see what they can get. But we want to hear everyone. We don't want to just completely disallow anyone. So regardless of what their project may be, we would like to leave it open-ended to where they come in and plead their case, with Commissioner's Court or with any entity that offers an abatement. And in this regard, abatements will be considered, but all the criteria that will be considered will be things such as, the total cost of the project, how many jobs it brings in to the county, what the jobs pay. These are the type of things that we look at, the overall quality of life enhancement for the county, as well as persons living in it. And then we try to get businesses that will come in and add jobs, value, help school districts, help cities, help the county. So this time, what we're doing is just going back and re-adopting with some changes to the previous tax abatement criteria. Yes, sir.
I apologize. I did not actually look at it in detail. I'm just asking as a request is if we did put any financial considerations in the process, like can we go ahead and put that in the kind of the background that we are going to analyze their financials, emails, that kind of stuff, if we find that that's needed. Have it in the framework, and then rather than having to ask for it
On the backside.
on the backside,
Yeah.
I'd rather than kind of know, not that that's a 100% deal, but to me, I like to know, what they got and what they're going to bring in improving the network of the community, as well as, the
Right.
viability of the company, and a little bit more, even though it can be totally confidential, to the public, which I would protect that, but would ask that we could have that at least analysis on the front end.
Right.
Maybe in it, I apologize, I didn't look at it, but I'd like for that to be something to consideration.
Well, we don't have to pass this today for one thing. It is for
And
consideration.
I don't mind getting with someone and giving.
As a matter of fact, I would enjoy visiting with all the EDCs. We have many projects that are coming quicker than we know. And if please the court, I would like to table this matter until the next meeting. That will give everyone a chance to at least visit. Leon and Lou, if that's okay with y'all, we can table this matter and give everybody the opportunity to look through it. And if there's any mark-offs or additions to, that'll give the opportunity a little bit further to study it. And like I say, this is just going to be every 3 or so years, we need to go back and re-up this. So anyone that looks on the county website will see economic development issues. There is a actual point in the Liberty County website that discusses economic development. So I would ask the court would table this. If someone would make the motion, we'll back.
Take a motion to table.
Got a motion from Bruce to table.
Second.
Hey, got a second from Leon to table.
Good point you brought up there. Great, thank you.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. That motion carries unanimously. We will table this and bring it back up at the next meeting and make sure everybody has the opportunity to discuss and then send back in any criteria changes that they would consider. Okay. Number 16, consider and approve policies for reopening county departments. Well, it's that time again. Clock on the clubhouse wall says it's time to get back to work. We did work quite well in the last meeting that we had in discussing what criteria that we need to consider for all departments to reopen, whether to the public as a whole or to the public on appointments or to the public by telephone or by email or anything else we can make it work with, because the threat of this COVID virus is still present. Everyone, I believe, has that at least thought about it, has sent in a startup from various departments about how they want to start back up with county operations. And thank y'all for doing that. And all of them were quite extensive in their thought process, and they did seem to cover everything as best they could. Of course, OCA is a different Office of Court Administration, which controls the courts, and that's JP's, my court, county court law 1 and 2, and the district courts as well. They have different operating procedures. But say, for instance, Ms. Chambers with the county clerk's office has a different standard that she needs to operate by. Rick Brown over in the tax office has a different standard that he needs to operate by. But we want to leave everything open to where people can get there and not make it near as hard as in the past. And I believe we have received an adequate amount of startup procedures from the various department heads. Matthew, what is your thoughts thus far?
Well, so several weeks ago, we asked Bickerstaff to prepare a policy, and that's what is before each of the commissioners. Both Leon and Boo have theirs in their email, but it's what all it is the same one that we had last week, and I've tracked changes on it, so I can be very transparent on what's there and what's been changed. But what it does is it says all county facilities are open only by appointment. And it's up to each department to let courthouse security or let their front door know who is expected that day. And upon entering the courthouse or other county facility, you'll have to undergo a health screen, symptom check, temperature check, no touch thermometer will be used. Anybody with a temperature greater than 100 will not be allowed to enter. As I've said in the past, the Commissioner's Court really only has authority over the front door of the facility and perhaps the hallways. But it's up to, because of our kind of unique structure of our county government, it's up to department heads to decide what happens once folks come to the door of their office. And so, there is kind of a tricky balance here that we're having to have with a policy such as this. So, and in the Bickerstaff and now amended version, each department will be required to post on their webpage their policies. So what they've been sending you, the department has been sending county judge's office, can then be used as and uploaded straight to the website, so everybody knows.
Okay.
But yeah, you're exactly right. So we're having to balance the independent duty of department heads, the independence of the courts and the judges to conduct their affairs under their own plan, and then all that in concert with the front door. And so it is not necessarily the easiest thing. But so that's it. Now, there are a couple other things. Face coverings in this plan are not required, but under the OCA plan and the courts, it is required. And so what I've put in here is that they're strongly recommended, but that if a person is attending court, they will be required to follow all procedures in the court's plan. If of course it takes time to do the health screening, I put in here added that anybody who has been screened at the courthouse will then be given a wristband that they can wear, or that was color coded for the day, that'll allow them to bypass health screening at any other county facilities for the remainder of that day. Try to make it somewhat more palatable. I know this is frustrating for everyone, quite frankly.
Matthew,
Yes.
what happens, let's say it's August, OCA opens it back up, we start having jury trials. And we're running our screening process at the front door. And you have a potential juror show up that has a summons. And he or she is showing 100+ temperature. What will take place so those judges will be advised of the situation?
Well, yeah, that's a very good question. So under the rules, that person would not be allowed admission to the courthouse. We would probably need to find out a way for that fact, or perhaps even the authority to make a decision on it to be communicated to the judge, and in such a way that it's complies with transparency and the court's duties and transparency, but also maintains confidentiality for that individual to a certain extent as well.
And so, but yeah, that's going to be an issue. I'll tell you another issue that is something to consider is it's already getting hot. It's getting up to 91, 94 high temps during the day right now. And I'm hearing anecdotal stories of folks who are coming in hot from outside and they're popping hot with the temperature scan. Now it goes down after they're given a few minutes to kind of cool off, but I don't know that that will always be the case.
We don't exactly have a waiting area in the air conditioned locations. I have talked to Krista over in emergency management, and we are going to purchase water coolers. Now, we tried to get this where we could just purchase bottles of water and have them iced down for people. And that's not a reimbursable expense to the county through the CARE Act or anything like this. And so we could buy water coolers, put ice in them. We have an ice machine down in maintenance and keep water in there, and they could have someone fill them a cup of water, and that way they can stay hydrated while they're waiting entry into the courthouse. Or we could go with an expense to non-departmental or whatever Dwayne would consider, and actually buy bottles of water where they could reach and get their own bottle of water. That's a consideration. There's things like this that are going to be popping up no matter where you are, either this courthouse or the annexes or over at Ricky's at the tax office. That was one thing that's going to be an issue. Another thing, the long lines, how long it takes to bring people in is another. And it's going to get hot. There's no fans out there underneath the awning. So days that are inclement and it's raining sideways, that's going to be another issue. How do you get the people in here beyond the screening at the door, at least through the metal detectors and such, where you can have them positioned where they cool down and then shoot them you're defeating your purpose. So once again, this courthouse was not designed for COVID-19. It was not designed for anything except public access from the 1930s forward. So here we go. As far as security at the annexes, I know I've talked with the JPs and their courts, and also with the constables. And the constables will provide security at the door and screen people as they come in at the annexes. I know Constable Thornton will take care of Precinct 4. Constable Joslin will take care of Precinct 6. The other entities, we need to get a plan from them as to how they're going to go forward with it. But our anticipation is that the constables, since they are the bailiff for the court, they will be at the building anyway. Hopefully they have an adequate number of deputies, constables, and or constables that are reserves that could come in and help. It's just some times that we've never seen, and we just have to get past the hurdle. But the main reason for this even being on today's agenda is to see if we can come together and get this worked out and then set a date to approve this to be in action. And then that way the public knows what's going on. And it's going to be difficult to get the news out to the public. So they say, this. Some folks, they read your paper. Everybody does. Also, they read Facebook, like who would have thought? And if it's on Facebook, by golly, it's true. But, that's the way it works. We can tell people all day long that we have a county website that they can access to look up the rules, so to speak, for reopening or the procedures for reopening. And they're going to look at either Blue Bonnet News or they're going to look at Facebook, and that's going to be the action they take. So this is one of these deals where we all get to work together and make the plan, establish a plan and make the plan into fruition.
I'll add this too, that just to be clear, each department is responsible for screening the employees of the department each morning.
Okay.
Start a shift.
And we have passed out plenty of thermometers and they've all been calibrated. PPEs will be available. I believe we have at least 10,000 masks. Isn't that correct, Bruce?
Yes,
That,
I believe it's in your office.
we do. And we can pass out.
We have a few thousand in my office too, if y'all run out of those.
We know where to come find them. That's for sure. So consider and approve policies for reopening. Are we going to go ahead and consider these policies and adopt these policies and then set a date to reopen, or we need to visit this further? It's something the court needs to come together and decide on, because the public is in anticipation that someday we're going to get back to business. It won't be business as usual, it'll be business as unusual, but there you are.
I'll say that we have dockets starting tomorrow.
Okay.
In County Court of Law, number 1. I'm not sure about district courts. I know they have them sporadically, and everyone's doing their absolute best to keep the numbers low. You know, more numbers of dockets with fewer people on them. But it will be starting very soon.
Okay.
So the date would have to be basically today or tomorrow.
Okay. Rick?
Still be up to the department heads.
Judge, I mean, I don't know if you had a chance to see my plan, which
I did.
basically we worked through it. It's contingent on a lot of the things county supplying and all these things, county policy. So, you know, I'm trying to follow the herd on that to be consistent. The one thing I have to kind of stand alone on at with the uniform deal, you know, and I know we threw it around if it was going to be the sheriff providing it or if the constables providing it, but to me, I know the sheriff has to go through some due diligence and there's some timing on that. If you're going to get a new commission officer and use part-time people, do you have a better handle on that? Because that's basically, I have tied in that we will not open to the public until we have a uniformed officer at the Liberty location. We're going to be finding in Dayton and Cleveland, but if we don't have them in Liberty and we open those two up, everybody's just going to overwhelm, you know, those two locations once the word gets out. So that's as critical to me as soon as I can. And of course, we're doing a mini version of that now, handling people by doing some separation and using our little waiting area. But like you said, the heat deal, we're getting 15, 20 people lined up outside, and there's not a whole lot of, you know, shade and everything else. We even looked at yesterday trying to figure out if we could put them in the kitchen and come in the back door, because we could put like 11 people in our file room. But then we're getting them inside while we're waiting. We're really not organized for that. But so it's kind of imperative to me to know when I'm going to have that officer, and I'd like to do all three at the same time so we don't have that overflow of these other two officers. So just bringing it up. I know it's been kicked around and it's not really, it is imperative on us.
Sure.
I've already gotten to a few little phrases afterwards.
Sir?
I'll meet with you after.
Sure.
Discuss that.
Did you send something in? Because I do not have it.
It was late, but I do have it. Yes.
Came yesterday.
Or a copy of it.
I can give you one right now.
Constable Johnson is going to provide someone to do temperature checks legally. My guys don't have them on there, so they haven't been doing it.
Okay.
You're talking John up there?
Yeah, in Cleveland. We only have one, it's for the boys here, but. You don't have one for your office in Cleveland? I have, we got some, we got some more.
This is awesome.
Okay. I think I got you. Right now, they, because it's locked, whenever someone makes an appointment, they get it, from like the courthouse, our office, and let them in. So they're actually getting up and letting them in one at a time, but they don't have any way to check them. So.
Yeah. Well, we can, in this budget, as an emergency measure, you can change, you can add personnel cause of an emergency situation. So that does cover it. The problem is finding someone to fit the bill. I think that's what the sheriff's problem is. You know, he has 6 positions right now he's trying to fill just for sheriff's deputies. And if he doesn't have those.
If Commissioner Arthur would like to send with us, I'll tell him.
Yeah, okay.
I think we need to come up with a date to go ahead and open and then deal with each one of these individually and get with the elected official.
Mhm.
I have just added to paragraph 7 of the policy, the following language where it says, no person shall enter unless the person is entering a facility that is occupied by a single department and the head of that department wishes to open the facility without requiring prearranged appointment. So that would carve out for Ricky's office so that they don't have to prearrange if they don't want to.
We're trying to do it on a title that somebody driving by, they see we're open, they're gonna pull in, and it takes 2 minutes to process, it would take 10 minutes to organize, and get an appointment.
Right.
So while we try to stress that, we don't want it to be a mandated requirement.
Yeah. So this will give you a little bit more flexibility. It's hard to have a single policy.
Yeah. No, I
understand.
This isn't a one shoe size fits all by any means. But do we need to recess for, say, 30 minutes and y'all can discuss? We need to go into the executive session to consider this.
Certainly recess for everyone to study it on their own. I
Yeah.
don't think that there could be discussion.
No. You get, otherwise be a walking corner. We can't do that. So, Leon, what are your thoughts and Boo's thoughts over there? Just curiosity here.
Well, I think we need some further consideration on all this. I don't think it's been thought out properly or well enough yet. I think we really need to get back in it and give it some good consideration.
Okay. It just remember, we're never going to make everybody happy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Even though we try, it's
Fortunately, tomorrow,
yeah.
court cases scheduled for tomorrow.
So
That's already set place for February.
yeah, that's the OCA has that set the operations for that. So it's okay.
They have, but
Yeah.
there's really nothing telling security what to do right now. And they're kind of left at limbo, not really, they've got the OCA plan, but there's no order saying, all right, y'all are to provide face coverings, pursuant to the plan to anybody coming to the docket, that sort of thing. And there's no health screening. I'm not necessarily for or against health screening. I'm just saying, if y'all want health screening to be a part of the criteria for people to be admitted, then you're going to have to put the policy in place. Without that, really can't do it.
Okay, let's look at this a minute. With one more week, give everybody an opportunity to really put some thought into this. Get all your plans in to our office. That way Matthew and Catherine can review. The commissioners can review as well. And let's get a decision made because the public's waiting.
Well, the department heads can choose. I mean, they could change their policy tomorrow.
Right.
And they would have the authority to do that. Again, I don't think that y'all, all y'all can do is decide what goes on that front door.
Front door, yeah.
It's great to have that communicated and for us all to try to sync up our policies. But if we wait on syncing up, I mean, come on, it's no secret. It's pretty hard to get It's like Herb Cassie at County Department Head, so. All agree on the exact details.
What do you recommend we do now?
I recommend you'll make a decision on the front door and the hallways on health screening, and whether or not we want that. And that's
This is
really
just on the front doors.
That's it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can craft the language however you want, you know, and please, I don't mind putting elbow grease in over however many hours it takes, but it leaves us in limbo, not knowing what to do.
There is one thing, because we've all sat down and talked about how we're doing, the county court at law and the county courts
Yes.
cases, and we've got them spread out. We've got lists for the front door and all these things. But we don't know, or at least I don't know, they might have told you, what the district courts are doing, and if they're having court at the same time, and if we've all got people coming in at the same time, we're gonna get a traffic jam at that front door. Not knowing what their schedule is, if it was just us in the building, we're good to go. But I don't know what their schedules are and how they're gonna compete with us and what kind of problems it's gonna create at the front door. That's the only concern I really have at this point, but I think the rest of it's gonna work great.
Yeah, that is something we're gonna have to, I think as department heads, everyone's gonna have to be reactive. I wish we could plan out everything well. We're gonna have to kind of play jazz, problem solve as we come up on them. But yeah, I think we need to work through some of those scheduling plans.
It would be nice to kind of know if we could plan around them and they could plan around us a little bit.
I agree.
So we just really need to consider the front door.
That's it.
That's
it. Don't worry about what Lee's doing or Ricky's doing. They'll be able to do that.
Mhm.
They'll be able to react and change their policies. They have the discretion. They should be able to, because they're going to come up on problems going, oh crud, that did not.
Yep.
And they're going to need to be able to change it.
But there was no guidelines for a pandemic. If there were faces, this is going to have questions no matter what we approve.
That's right.
But I do believe that we need to go ahead and.
Matthew,
Yes.
if we make a decision on that today on this front door business,
Yes.
we're basically saying the county government is open.
Yes.
Which will include the annexes.
Yes. So what it does.
Are we prepared, or is our annexes prepared to do this?
So this gives each single department building the authority to decide whether or not they want to be open on an appointment only basis or not. So the default for county annexes, JP's offices would be appointment only. And then it would be up to them to say, no, we're good. We've got the plexiglass up. We anticipate that the stream of public coming in will be something that we can handle. Let's rock and roll. And more or less they can go open the door at that point. But otherwise for the all other departments, it's saying no one's coming in without getting screened. And they have to have an appointment or be an employee of the county or delivering mail or packages for the courier delivery service. Okay. And then, the screening criteria. This also, I will add, requires social distancing, 6 feet separation from other individuals while inside, et cetera. If for whatever reason you can't, you got to wear masks or, practice good cough etiquette, et cetera.
Okay, but what I'm asking is, are we opening the doors to the annexes if we vote on this today?
Well, we're still in the last policy period because we haven't changed it. We're still there. And what it did is it closed it except for prearranged appointments, county employees. It's very similar in that way. The only difference is this gives a little bit more flexibility to department heads in those single department facilities, and it requires health screening.
So at the annexes, Leon, the constable would be responsible for the front door. anyone that comes in. Of course, the constable might put a deputy there to screen people, but still the constable is responsible to his judge as his bailiff. We already know that. That's by statute. There's no other way out of that. And OCA has already had guidelines the way it's going to operate in the courtroom setting. Since each annex is a little different, the Dayton annex, you have Judge Wilburn's office there. They have a glass they walk up to, and they take care of their business with the clerks. If they go to the courtroom, they will be escorted to the courtroom, but they will be checked before they go in the courtroom. That's already been prescribed and accepted. The going to Ricky Brown's area where they either get their license plates or pay their property tax. Again, he's in a protected area. It's glassed in. So that annex in Dayton is pretty well covered, as well as the Cleveland annex. The offices, say for instance, Cody's parish is over in precinct 3. And seeing him and going to his court, that's going to be up to him, because really the only thing there is his court and his court clerks. The constable does have an office there, but I would say that he's probably not there a whole lot because he's always out on the road taking care of business.
Same way at Tarkington. Same thing at Tarkington.
Yep, same way for Tarkington. And the precinct 1 sheriff, I'm not sure how he's operating right now. And Les over in precinct 2. I know he will. I don't worry about what constable Halsey does. So further questions about it. I mean, each building is different, so we have to treat each building differently. So if you're saying, are you opening up the annexes by this court action? No, we're not. We're just going to be dealing with this courthouse with this action. But the other action, as far as opening up annexes, I believe has already been covered by the department heads and by OCA. And we cleared that as far as the persons that are in the building. I know Ricky Brown knows how his people are going to be checked. Judge Wilbur knows how his will be checked. And then that's really all that's there. The CAD is no longer existent over at the Precinct 4 Annex. Any other ideas?
Matthew, you have all the guidelines in place in here that for us to adhere to?
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I believe this, from the general drift of what I was gathering the court kind of wanted to do, this accomplishes that. And I did just kind of tweak that language I just mentioned to say that if a person is entering a facility that is occupied by departments whose heads of department all wish to open the facility for public access without requiring peer-reviewed appointments. That means if there's in an annex, I started thinking, well, there's a constable's office, there's JP's office, some of them, there's other offices even. If all of them say, hey, look, we don't want to do appoint things, let them come in, then this will let them do that. So long as they're all integrated.
Matthew and Judge, my question as a elected official, have we checked with our insurance providers to see if our liability coverage do they have a say in our policy to say, yeah, y'all have followed the policy, we'll cover you if there is some kind of claim either by our employees or by the public, because we haven't, quote, done it to the extent of the law, or our general liability is still in place, or is there a review aspect that's needed because of the coronavirus 19? I know it's new, and they probably hadn't had any cases out there, but to me, bringing our insurance provider in to get his opinion before it happens is almost.
So you're concerned that our insurance liability carrier would limit their liability if they disagree with our policy?
Well, I'm just saying that, to me, I'd like to have them at least aware of our deal and having their opinion on it to say, hey, this is good enough for us, and, because this is something new.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
And to me, from day one, when we talked about this in March, my question was, what is my liability as elected official if I don't follow the right? So I'm out searching, and I've been searching for everything since it started, looking at all the resources. And it, you know, while I'm worried compassionately about my staff and my, you know, and the public, but you also have to, as a business relation and as a liable person, elected official, what coverage do I have to assure me that I'm protected as an elected official to make these decisions, especially when they differ from the county's position, possibly a little laxer than the county or more strict. I'm just throwing things out because I'd rather know my chances going in rather than.
Okay, well, let me address that. So by adding in that language about about single departments and county facilities, et cetera, that doesn't mean that the person can enter without a health screening. They still have to undergo the health screening. Generally, about employer's liability or public facilities liability, where someone may enter the facility to contract the disease. Well, we don't know. There has been no case law on that point. Generally, though, it would probably be something like a negligence kind of claim, which would require us to exercise reasonable care. And that would be, you know, a whole
Just
lot.
in everything we do every day.
Exactly. Yeah.
Are these guidelines that you have also follow CDC's recommendations?
Yes, and then they make a number of gestures also towards.
So we're not less stringent, we're probably.
And so, yeah, in paragraph 7, paragraph 6, I'll make reference 5, I'll reference executive order number 23 from Greg Abbott, and in that, it makes a lot of references and pulls in a lot of the CDC health guidelines and ESHS guidelines.
So as long as we're not proven negligent, you feel comfortable that we're.
Yes, I feel much
Yeah.
better with something like this, saying, look, we're doing everything we can. I mean, we all know that, look, there's asymptomatic folks out there, and that our best care will still allow some of those folks.
You know, I heard this morning, they said asymptomatic is very rare to spread it.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a flash this morning. So who knows, they're learning things as they go through this.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, science doesn't even really have the definitive story on it right now. So we are having to make our best judgment and use our best discretion.
Okay. So we're back to the question.
So do you want health screening? Do you want the default to be prearranged appointments?
Everybody clear on that? Leon, you clear on that? You are, okay.
We're ready.
You want to make a motion on it, or what do you want to do?
Well, as I indicated earlier, I would really like to give it just a little bit more thought on this, Jay. I think we all need to give it more thought. You know, one thing we definitely need to do is protect our employees, but also it's getting to a point now to where we need to start functioning for our public. And I'd like to give it some more thought. I really would.
One thing you could do is adjourn for a period of time, let everybody kind of study over it.
Mhm.
Back a little bit.
All right.
I think this is something we gotta give a lot more thought altogether, but I still think we need to accept Matthew's recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
on to that.
You could pass it and say, Matthew, nice shot. No, this ain't gonna work. And come back next week and, you know, absolutely change it, either fundamentally or tweak.
I think under the guidelines that we have by posting here, I think we can safely open the courthouse.
You know, my thoughts are that if we're gonna do this with the courthouse, we're gonna open it up, we're gonna do our safety monitoring and stuff, then we just need to unlock the doors at the annexes. You know, Liberty and Dayton are pretty self-contained, those offices. And as Matthew said, they can work their business as they want. But to take a deputy to stand there at that door for 8 hours or whatever every day, it's not making sense with me at the annexes because they're self-contained. And those officers they'll handle their business the way they want. But just a simple example is the Dayton Annex. They can walk in, they can pay their ticket, ask for the judge, whatever they need to do, because they're behind glass fixtures. They can walk up to the tax office, get their registration, take care of their taxes, whatever they need to do. I say at the Dayton and the Liberty annexes, now I can't speak for Cleveland, but I think that it would be a waste of a uniformed deputy to be monitoring that door 8 hours a day when our own offices within those annexes are self-contained.
We could carve out entirely JP's offices, carve out the annex. You can make this policy only for the Liberty County Courthouse. Then you could add a section in there saying, you know, the policies of the JP courts and the annexes will be written by the JP courts of those annexes in compliance with any approved plans by OCA. And then that gives them entirely the discretion to do what they need to do with a bare minimum, of course, of the OCA plan.
Yeah, I was under the impression we were talking about the courthouse.
It's just the courthouse.
Because every building is gonna be different.
Yeah.
Not gonna be there.
So, yeah, I mean, I could very easily just carve out, just say on paragraph 7, no person shall enter the Liberty County Courthouse unless.
We're just addressing the courthouse today. That'll give the other offices time to submit their proposal. We can revisit this.
Okay.
Judge, if I could
Sure.
make a comment. Again, my policy, you know, we're following the things, but the bottom line is if we do not have a uniformed officer at our door, we're not going to open to the public. And I stand with that because I have experienced the last 3 weeks, and you try to control the public out there, and they are not very tolerable. They are not very understanding. And I've had to come almost, you know, to blows with people to just simply tell them where to stand. And again, I'm not going to put that responsibility on my staff to do that. They're having to get behind the counter and come out to the public to control the crowd.
Rick, you're talking about your specific office in Liberty.
Yes, I am. I'm also in Dayton. If the officer's out there policing them for the court, and no one's checking the guy who comes to attack him, once he's in that area, he could go to the court. He's not going to get a tag just to do the tax office. So you already have an officer doing it under the court deals. So we're not asking to get another officer to do the tax office. He's actually, whatever the court's doing, they're testing the people coming into the tax office. So I don't see that that's an extra burden. They're going to be doing that anyway as their responsibility to the court. So while he's out there, he's just checking people that are coming into the tax office. So I don't see that that's a complication. The officer's already charged to keep the courts protected and to screen the people. So while they're screening, they're gonna screen the people that are coming. And I'm probably on some days, you're gonna have more people come to the tax office than you are going to the court, depending on if it's a jury or not. So on those days, that same officer is gonna be policing. And I've already talked to Robbie. He said, no problem, we're gonna be doing that anyway to protect the people in the court. We might as well do your people too. So I don't see it's any extra that we're asking for. And Cleveland's the same way. And when you get into the Liberty office, absolutely, we're standalone. We have no one there, and we do need an officer. And so I just want to clarify that.
Matthew,
Yes.
can we legally require Commissioner Court constables to do something?
Mm.
So unless there's private security to do what Mr. Brown wants to do, we have no directions of directing security to these buildings.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that you could require that.
And again, I didn't specify this. I said a uniform officer. I made mine very generic.
Mhm.
You know, whether it's rent-a-cop or if it's somebody who's already commissioned, I don't care. Somebody who has a uniform, and you can.
Sure.
I'd just like to talk with you after the meeting. I think I've got a plan that might
Okay.
help. We're not working on him right now, we're working on the courthouse.
Right. Yeah, we're still working on it.
I think we can make him happy if my plan works, and I'd like to discuss the plan with you, Commissioner Arthur, and this.
Okay, all right.
So you can change that language.
So, yeah, this is what I did. I added, so paragraph 7 is the one that deals with, you have to have appointments that are prearranged by department in the facility, or being employed. I added paragraph 8, it says nothing in paragraph 7 this order shall in any way apply to any other county facility or all. Okay, but that does not say anything about the health screen. Okay, it still says that anybody accessing the building shall be health screened. Okay.
So you feel confident if we make a motion to open the courthouse, just the courthouse, under your guidelines, where health screening will
Yes.
be in?
Yes. Yeah. We would. That would turn on health screen.
Okay.
We've already got the people in place to do that.
Mhm.
And,
I even bought the wristbands.
Okay.
$10 on Amazon.
Get a different color every day.
Yeah, same color every day.
That'll work.
I make a motion that we open the courthouse immediately under the guidelines Matthew Poston has presented before us.
Got a motion from Bruce, second from Greg, to open the courthouse under the guidelines that are recommended and that we've all discussed. And they're in front of you. All in favor, say aye.
Greg, Jay, I want to ask again, are we doing the same for the county annexes? I've not got a clear answer on this yet.
For the what?
So,
Annexes.
Annexes.
so what this does, it says, I do anticipate we're going to be finding issues. And we're going to find issues with this that probably require some further clarification. But what this does is it exempts every other county building other than the courthouse, exempts all other facilities from requiring folks to have a prearranged appointment with the department that they're in. They can go in, but it does require health screening at still at every county building and office. Every employee will have to be screened by the department head each morning. Every member of the public who does enter in is going to have to get screened.
but the motion we just made just affects the courthouse.
It says exactly what I just said. So it says that only prearranged appointments at the courthouse, everyone else doesn't have to do that, but there's health screening at every department and every office for members members of the public or employees.
And I think we need to bring this back up after y'all had those conversations and stuff, maybe in a special meeting or at our next commissioners to address everyone else.
Well, right now I got a motion, a second to approve.
Well, wait a minute, I'm not in favor of making this at every location right now, because we're not set up to do that in every location.
This is just a courthouse.
No, he just said it.
Yeah, that's what I just said. So I'm not trying to be, it's complicated. So what I'm saying is the prearranged appointment only basis applies only to the courthouse, but every facility, both employees and members of the public are gonna have to be screened before they enter.
We're not set up to do that at every place.
Well, what I'm hearing is like my office in Cleveland, regardless of what Ricky does, regardless of what Judge Fuller does, regardless of what DPS does, anybody that comes into my office that I make an appointment for, we have to screen them and to make them go through the health check before we even start to, go through their appointment. So my staff, it's going to be on my staff to do those health screenings for my office only in Cleveland. Yes,
That's it. That's
that's
right.
what I'm hearing. Okay.
What about the building? What are they going to do? Screen everybody comes to the door?
Well, we can add something that says, this shall not apply to anyone visiting any of the dump locations.
I think maybe we need to work on this a little more. This point. I would be in favor of going ahead, for the courthouse, make this policy apply to the courthouse only, but right now, before we jump into everything else,
Let me do this.
I want to get a little more.
So can you narrow this down?
To the, yeah, I can do that entirely, yeah. So what it says, I'm gonna change it to, following procedure related to provision of government services by Liberty County to the public shall apply only to the Liberty County Courthouse located at 1923.
Thank you, Matthew.
Yeah,
We're already doing all this at our office, with the appointment and we're spraying, but before we, and I think it's a great idea, and I think we need to, but we just need to make sure we got in place the procedures to do that. Right now, I'm not comfortable that we got, everything in place to do that tomorrow.
Now that wordage was just added to.
Yes, yeah, what I did, that was the paragraph 8. I took out the section that said paragraph 7 shall only apply to the courthouse where, and then added that.
So my motion stands.
okay. Everybody together on this? Leon, you good with it now?
I'm good with it now.
Okay. We got a motion from Bruce, second from Craig, to open only the courthouse, 1923 Sandwich, Liberty, Texas. Correct? Everybody good?
It's submitted by the county
That's
attorney.
submitted by the county attorney. All in favor, say aye. Likewise, nays. All right, that motion does pass and it is unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. And at this time, need a motion to adjourn. Got one motion from Bruce, second from Greg to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays, and we are adjourned. And Sheriff, I'll visit with you. It's knocked out.